For today, in the name of freedom, we take the battle to them.
Ladies and gentlemen, the penultimate episode of Daredevil Born Again Season 1 has been released, and yeah, this is definitely more in line with the first episode because, I mean, I'm sure everyone you've seen talk about the show has mentioned it, that, of course, there was the huge behind the scenes overhaul with the show, and, obviously, oh my god, that's two Marvel projects in a row talking about behind the scenes stuff. But anyway, episode 1, episode 8, this one, and then the next episode, episode 9, which is the finale, are all part of reshoots. They were all completely brand new, and episodes 2 to 7 were the original idea for the show. And, sort of intercut with new footage, of course, with Vanessa, because they were going to recast Vanessa. But yeah, so it was kind of like a Frankenstein project of sorts. But now you get to episode 8, and finally, we pick up with Ben Poindexter again. And my god, look, I've been enjoying this show so far. Episode 7 was the first one where I was really negative towards it. But apart from that, I've really enjoyed. Okay, and episode 5. I've really enjoyed this show. But when you get to episode 8, it's like, come on, this should have been like episode 4 or 5. Why is it episode 8? Like, come on, man. I don't know. Absolutely no clue at this point, honestly. But yeah, so the episode sort of begins in a really interesting way because you see it's like this upside down shot of a blue rose, and then it kind of flips around, and then the camera pans back into Bullseye's cell. And what I love about this is, like, the cops obviously mentioning, or the guards, sorry, mentioning, like, normally we take the objects off of them, but this guy's not allowed to have anything. That's because Bullseye will turn anything into a weapon. Like, people say, oh yeah, John Wick killed people with a pen, like killed a guy with a pencil. And I'm like, yeah, that is awesome. I love John Wick. But there's not even, like this dude kills with pens, he kills with baseballs, he kills with anything. Like, he killed a fly with a fucking paperclip. There's no, like, Bullseye will literally take anything and will be able to break free. And let's just talk about that whole thing. I enjoyed that opening scene of him being transferred to the Gen Pop, but it's his escape. His escape, I think, was handled absolutely horrifically. So you get the scene where he does meet Matt Murdock again, and Matt is like, oh, why did Fisk hire you to kill Foggy or something like that? Why did Fisk hire you? And Ben is he's just talking. And I love the dialogue this episode. The dialogue was definitely a step up as opposed to previous episodes. And my god, I just love the interaction between these two. So it's just the way that Matt goes, oh, what's wrong? You want me to get you out of here? Everything like that. It's like, it's so good, dude. I love it. I really, really do. And then Matt is just, you can see that anger burning inside of him. He just wants to beat the shit out of him. And then he gets the chance. He just keeps hitting him and hitting and hitting and hitting. And then he just pulls the best card that he could have, and he's like, "Oh, he just kept slamming his head into the desk." And I was like, you know what? That is a great plan, honestly. But then you know that you're fucked when Bullseye says, "Thank you, counselor," and he's just smiling. And then Matt just oh my god, I loved Charlie Cox's delivery when he just said "fuck you." It was so good. It was like more satisfying than when Soldier Boy said that to Butcher in the season 3 finale of The Boys. It was so good. But yeah, then you get to the actual escape scene, and I thought that this was absolute garbage. I'm sorry. Um, I was really upset with this, and this is really the only reason why episode 6 is still probably my favorite episode of this season. Like this episode would have been the best if not for this. So you get a great scene of them fixing, well, quote unquote fixing Dex, and for some odd reason his hands are free. They've just handcuffed him to the chair. Why does he not have the restraints and everything? You know how dangerous this man is. Why is he not restrained? It makes absolutely no sense. So, yeah, with that, I sort of just already kind of lost my mind. But then the teeth. This man pulled a tooth out and spat it into the guard's eye and broke free. I could not believe that, because obviously I saw, the shots of him missing a tooth and stuff, like bloody teeth and everything from the mid-season trail and everything like that. I just thought, okay, he'd get beaten up. No, 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 no. He took it out and used it as a projectile. That is fucking crazy. That was insane. But I loved it. I really did. But that's where the good part of the escape ends, because really, this just makes the NYPD look like absolute idiots. Because, first of all, them not having him restrained is stupid, but it's when he actually makes the escape. Because, yes, it's dark, but this man is literally walking, just all that's happened is his head is down. His head is down, he walks onto the bus. And even one of the guards is asking, he's like, "Oh yeah, you're tired from work, huh?" He looks at him. I refuse to believe that these guards can't identify Benjamin Poindexter, a former FBI agent who, tried to kill the mayor of the city. Well, I mean, he wasn't the mayor at the time, but, and one of the most violent and insane psychotic criminals you have locked up in that very same facility, and you cannot recognize this man's face? Fuck off. That pissed me off to no end. That really, really did. Because obviously, there's a lot of movies and a lot of shows where you gotta just suspend your disbelief that the cops and things are this dumb in order for the person to escape. But here, come on, really? They're not that stupid. They can see. You're telling me that when they scan the little card thing outside the bus, that they don't look at the person's face to make sure that someone didn't steal the card? Really? No one recognized this man. I'm sorry, I call absolute bullshit with that. But anyway, moving on. After the opening sequence, we get a really cool intercutting scene. And I love this because this happened in episode 6 as well, except very different context. Because there was just a lot of fighting. Here, it's intercutting with Vanessa finally seeing Adam kept in Fisk's little area, a little lair. And what I love is that it's in that area that Fisk wanted to be redone. And that's what I love about it, because we didn't really know where this was. And I'm just saying, I love Vincent D'Onofrio's performance in this scene, because he screams, but you can see when he says, "I'm better than I was," you can hear his voice breaking. And that's a tone that we had never heard from him as Kingpin before. Normally it is just the normal, "Oh, I will be outlawing vigilantes." That gruff kind of voice. But for some odd reason, here, when his voice was breaking, you really heard a different tone there. And I love that. And Vanessa kills Adam, which I thought was interesting. I don't know. I feel like they could have made it a little bit clearer that there was a gun on the table, because I don't know, I did not even notice that there was a gun there. I saw the key, I didn't see the gun. But anyway, I was quite surprised that she actually did kill Adam. Very unexpected. But this is showing them coming closer together, their relationship sort of reforming, which is intercut with Matt and Heather, whose relationship is beginning to crack, beginning to crumble, because Heather has this opinion, this collective opinion that all vigilantes are bad, saying that, oh yeah, Daredevil was there for himself. I saved myself. And I'm like, oh my god. I said that, the one thing I didn't like about this episode was Dex's escape being too dumb. This is another thing. Is Heather being this fucking stupid? I refuse to believe that a psychologist, whatever, is this dumb that she actually believes all the shit that Fisk is feeding them. And on top of that, that Daredevil belongs in the same category as Muse. I don't know, that whole thing just really, really annoyed me because sure, she lacks context, but like a woman, come on, use your brain. Use your brain for 5 seconds and just think. Even Josie at the bar in the same episode said that she's not giving a cent to that man. And I was like, you know what? Respect. But yeah, Heather really annoyed me this episode. But really, it's that dance scene, which is the highlight of the episode. So, we do get to Fisk's black and white gala or whatever frick it's called. And here you really see Kingpin sort of come through, because there was that woman who was standing up to Fisk at the previous event, and now all of a sudden she's like really timid, really scared, kind of anxious looking. And then you get Tony Dalton's character of the swordsman, and this. Oh yes, I love the sequence. I know people had issues with how Kingpin was portrayed in Hawkeye, but one thing I loved was his introductory sequence, because they frame it in such a it's such a genius way, because when Eleanor is talking to him, the camera is sort of looking down on her, and then and it's far away from her, so she looks smaller. But when the camera is on Fisk, it's very close to him, it's looking up at him, it makes him look even larger than he actually is. And of course, they do the same thing here with Eleanor's husband, where he's sitting down and the camera is very much looking down at him, but Fisk towers over him. And my god, it is amazing. I believe this is also the first time where we ever see Fisk with his hands in his pocket. Very random, but I don't know, I just love that. I also love his white suit. The white suit with Kingpin, it is iconic. I mean, he's the reason that for formal events I choose a white suit. I mean, come on, the man is iconic. Yes, I'm not joking. I actually genuinely started getting into white suits because of Kingpin, mainly because of season 3. But yeah, just seeing him in that white, and this time it's like full on white. My god, it was glorious. It was so good. And just the contrast with Vanessa's red. Oh man, that looked good. That was so fantastic. But there's just so much going on in the scene, because you have Vanessa and Fisk. You have what's her name? Heather and Matt, who are of course fighting, but Matt is trying to listen to what Fisk is saying. You got Bullseye who shows up. You got the task force dealing with the photographer. You got BB Urich. Sorry, I was thinking of Brett Cooper. There was BB Urich talking to the commissioner. There was just so much going on. But yeah, just going from like the least exciting to the most exciting. Of course, there was the whole thing with the task force and the commissioner really not being happy with their methods. But one bit of information that I think was insane is that BB Urich, I nearly said Cooper again, BB Urich actually knew that Fisk was the main suspect in her uncle's murder. I honestly couldn't believe, because every time she shared a scene with Fisk, I was like, oh my god, he killed your uncle. Please, just freaking find it out. But the commissioner just straight up tells her, are you aware that he was the main suspect? And she says, yes. Why do you think I do this, you dumbass? Well, I mean, not as vulgar, but you know what I mean. And now it all makes sense, because I was like, why would she, like, I understand, of course, she wants a story, with that whole harbor, like redoing the harbor area thing. I understand she'd want a story, but why would she betray Daniel, her friend? Of course, it makes sense. She wants to ruin Fisk's reputation. And I love that. I think that that is absolute genius. And you can really see that this is the episode that ties into episode 1. And of course, they both tie into season 1 to 3. And it's just so, so good. And it really, it's gonna hurt the rewatchability factor of the show a lot, because episodes 2 to 7, while solid, they are just very disconnected and really don't have a lot of things with Poindexter. Well, I mean, say that, but Poindexter doesn't even show up in those episodes. You get a one scene of Frank, which, by the way, Frank is only going to be in 2 episodes. He's in one scene of 1, and then is just in episode 9. I can't believe that. Why would you do that? Why? Why? What the hell? But anyway, you got the whole thing with BB Urich and the commissioner, and then you have the little conflict which is going on with Kingpin, Heather, Vanessa, and Matt in what is meant to be like a double reveal sort of scene, because you got Matt and Heather dancing, and while Fisk is dancing with Vanessa, he's just talking because he knows that Matt can hear him. And he calls him Devil. I love that. But another thing that I love is that they finally revealed that Vanessa is most likely the one who ordered the hit on Foggy Nelson. And, that is something which, I mean, it has been 3 years since I've seen season 3 of Daredevil. And I don't remember Poindexter ever finding out that Matt Murdock is Daredevil. Because sure, Fisk could have told him, but, I mean, those two didn't really end on good terms. But I really didn't remember that. So when Foggy got killed by him in episode 1, my apologies for yawning. It's 2 a.m. Whatchamacallit, when Foggy, when Bullseye killed Foggy, I was like, okay, well, clearly he knows that Daredevil is Matt, because why would he do that? That's like such a random person to kill. One would expect you to go for Matt himself, but no, he shoots Foggy. And now we finally are going to have a reason as to why he killed Foggy, because it made absolutely no sense to me. But yeah, I'm really happy that we're getting this, and it's so good with that intercutting again. But this time the partners have been switched, because you got Fisk telling Heather, do you know why your boyfriend has such a big interest with vigilantes or something like that, and it's so good, because Matt asks Vanessa something like, does your husband know that you had Foggy Nelson killed or something like that? And she's like, does Heather know you're Daredevil? It's such a good scene. But of course, it is again being paused, because we keep cutting to Poindexter himself, which, by the way, shout out to Koi Genre, honestly, for spotting this on the Real Rejects channel, because we see in the kitchen someone grab the prongs. I don't actually know what you call them. The prongs. And I was like, okay, well, I'm assuming he killed the guard with it and then took the guard's clothes. But when we first see Dex with the sniper uniform on, you can actually see the dead cop at the bottom of the screen with the prongs stuck in his neck. That is so, so cool. And this is easily the best part of the episode, in my opinion, because everyone watching the scene they were in two minds. Well, one of two minds. A half was saying Heather's gonna get shot. Half was saying Vanessa's gonna get shot. I thought it was gonna be Vanessa. Matt takes a bullet for Kingpin. Oh my god. What the fuck? That was like the thing that I least expected. And what I find funny is that, of course, the episode ends with showing Matt on the floor. And I'm like, okay, but we know that he's not going to die. So, that means nothing. But the fact that he took a bullet for Fisk is crazy. And I see people saying, oh no, Dex was aiming for Vanessa, or he was aiming for Heather, and he just, like, Matt pushed him out of the way, pushed them out of the way. And I was like, Ben knows how to account for movement and people's actions. He is not going to miss. Okay, Bullseye doesn't miss. There's a reason why he's called Bullseye, or at least why Frank called him Bullseye once, which is a scene that was ADR, by the way. I didn't actually realize that. And once someone points it out, you will never, ever be able to unhear that. But yeah, Matt takes a bullet for him, and my favorite part about this is that obviously he takes the bullet for Fisk, and Fisk is like holding him. And then once he realizes what's happening, he just drops Matt to the floor. It's so funny, but I'm just really excited for where this finale is going to go. Because, of course, we know that we're going to have Punisher, and the one thing that I've heard is that there is a death in this show which is so brutal and like jaw dropping that even certain horror movies wouldn't go this far. And of course, with only one episode left, there really is no guessing who it could be, or no telling who it could be. All we can do is just guess, because you have Kingpin. Kingpin could very well kill someone. You got Daredevil, who, Daredevil doesn't kill, so it can't be him. But he is paired alongside Frank. He's paired alongside the Punisher. And honestly, I wouldn't put it past the Punisher here. But he doesn't, I don't know, Frank doesn't seem like the guy who would, actually, no, that's a lie. I was going to say he doesn't seem like the guy who would kill slowly. Nope, he killed the guy on the rooftop in season 2 by like stomping his ribs and everything. So yeah, fair enough. But I do think that it's going to be Poindexter. I don't know who he's going to kill, but I am really interested in this now. So yeah, overall, this episode was just so good. It was nice to sort of have a feel of the real season 4 to Daredevil. Because, episode 1, I'm not going to act like it was perfect. I still think that killing Foggy off was the dumbest thing they could have done and was an absolutely atrocious decision. But yeah, one thing though that this episode did kind of reinforce for me is just how useless the side characters are. Nobody cares for characters like I should remember his name, Cherry. No one cares for Cherry. No one cares for Kirsten. No one cares for her. Heather as well is probably the worst love interest Matt has ever had, and I say that as someone who hated Elektra. I'm sorry. Matt, you should have just ended up with Claire. Really, she's the OG. You should have just ended up with her. But yeah, the side characters and of course the whole thing of Poindexter escaping like nothing happened, that really did bring the episode down for me. But the episode most of the time was just fan-freaking-tastic, man. And I'm really excited for next week. Although I'm going to be honest with you. You guys who made this show, you suck. Because what psychos make a show 9 episodes long? You could have added one more, for God's sake. But yeah, shit happens. If they were to like completely redo the show, they probably would have had to delay this to 2026, maybe the end of 2025. But yeah, I don't know. Honestly, please just let me know your thoughts on this episode. The 8th episode of Daredevil Born Again Season 1. Did you enjoy? Do you think I'm perhaps complaining about the whole prison escape sequence too much? And yeah, please, just anything and everything, Let me know down in the comment section below. If you did enjoy this video, then please leave a like, subscribe, and goodbye.